I'd like to hear a motion to deviate, please.
So moved.
Seconded?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now set our next meeting date.
Looks like December
Minutes.
11th.
Number 3 minutes first.
Well, I was trying to get to
Okay.
Mr. Parker a little fast.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, but we still gotta do the minutes.
Well, okay, we'll do the minutes next time. So your approval on the minutes?
So, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, it's been made a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, sure. What date did you say,
Looks like
December?
December 11th is the second Wednesday of the month.
Anybody have any problem with that day? We'll go with it. Okay, we're at the public comment. Seeing no public comment, I'd like to deviate then and go down to the ordinance on the drug paraphernalia.
Okay.
And Mr. Parker has come over special for that, and I think we'll just give him the floor.
Well, Tom Tuma had worked with Corporation Council and came up with an ordinance for drug paraphernalia. He had asked me for a letter to support this ordinance, but I figured it'd be better if I came over, if there were any questions whatsoever in person and spoke to the committee. I did happen to talk to Supervisor Huntington and Chair Mr. McClellan about this prior to the meeting to let them know I didn't get to the other guys. I apologize. I had a plan to call everybody. But I support this drug paraphernalia ordinance. I think that it's something that is needed for the purposes of enforcement for ordinance type violations. I had briefly discussed it with Tom as well, and it's Tom Madsen, that the statute being adopted is 961.573, which is the drug paraphernalia ordinance, and we would be following what is drug paraphernalia as well. There are certain things that are termed as drug paraphernalia, and there are certain things that are termed not drug paraphernalia, but there's also a clause in the statute or in the jury instruction about how people use different things that may be commonly known as not drug paraphernalia, but how they use it, it becomes that type of thing. So as far as this ordinance, I support it. I think that I've talked to Tom too. There are some other ordinances that I think we'll be working on in the future. One of the ordinances that I'm concerned about or would like to look into a little further is a possession of marijuana ordinance. Haven't quite got all of the particulars on that because there are different agencies and different jurisdictions that do different things with that type of ordinance. Some of them have a threshold amount of for marijuana, some of them don't have. And I just want to get a feel for that and then talk to Captain Tuma again and discuss that and see where we're going to go with that. I'm sure you'll then bounce it off the sheriff and John, and we'll go that way. But when I was at my budget meeting, one of the things that the budget, the folks that were at the budget committee, the finance committee, is they were encouraging the use of ordinances, much like they do in the city or Bonneville and those kinds of places. My office is not an office that is, its intent is to become a revenue producer. That's not the intent of ordinances at all from our perspective. But the benefit, as you all know, sitting here, and anybody that's been involved in government knows that when it comes to ordinance violations, the monies that are created in fines go to the county's general fund, whereas in criminal cases, it's not like that. The great majority of it goes to the state of Wisconsin. So that's my take on this ordinance, and maybe to come back to the committee about other ordinances in the future.
I read through the ordinance and I also spoke with Greg and, I think it's a good ordinance. Partially because then the county will collect money from tickets, which that isn't what we're really here for, is to produce ordinances so that we make more money at it. That's not it, but there are a lot of drugs out there and a lot of ways people are using them, man. And I think it's something that we should go forward with.
So who decides what's paraphernalia?
Well, that's the interest, that's the question that, the jury instruction, which has to be followed. If, let's say somebody comes in and, they're cited for drug paraphernalia, and they say, well, I want a court trial. And they can have a court trial, or they can have a 6-person jury trial. What we do is then, the process by which these ordinances come to us is once that person exercises their right to a trial, then we get a copy of the report from the sheriff's department. We look at that and we make a determination by a reflection of the statute and the jury instruction that tells us what is drug paraphernalia. For example, the jury instruction talks about needles being exempted from drug paraphernalia. You know, you might have people that need to take insulin and those kinds of things, but when these guys go and do a search warrant in a home and they find all kinds of needles and they find used needles and those kinds of things, you find out that substances that's within the needle itself sometimes, or attached to a syringe or something like that, is a controlled substance. Maybe it's something that was melted down so that they can take it intravenously. Then that needle arguably becomes drug paraphernalia. Now, that's kind of an extreme case, which would more than likely probably be looking at a criminal charge rather than an ordinance, but that's how we determine what is drug paraphernalia. The officer looks at it, the officer who's trained knows what things are commonly drug paraphernalia: pipes, smoking, other smoking devices, cans. I mean, guys, some of the drug paraphernalia they'll take and they'll smoke this like meth or something like that, methamphetamines, and they'll drop it on a light bulb, and the vapor of that, as it ignites, the drug officers would probably be better to explain that to you, but my understanding from speaking with them and my experience in cases is that vapor that they inhale from that, that becomes a controlled substance that they use and inhale. So, arguably, that light bulb, because of the way it's been used, it could be used as drug paraphernalia. Other drug paraphernalia types of things are things used to grow or propagate the marijuana, for example. So,
You know, and I think another thing too is when we do a search warrant, we're not just gonna, there's some concern I see in the notes as far as using a paper clip and that be called a drug paraphernalia. Well, if we go into a home to do a search warrant and we find a box full of paper clips and we find papers that are being paper clipped together, I don't think our guys are gonna seize that and say that it's drug paraphernalia. But if we go into a home and we find that there's doobies laying there next to the paper clips and the paper clip is burnt to where he's using that paper clip to smoke a joint or something like that, then you got drug paraphernalia with a paper clip. So it's what we find in a search warrant too. It's not just simply what you go in and say, well, there's a paper clip, drug paraphernalia. No, you got to have the circumstances to put it together.
Right.
Or using it to push lines together of cocaine.
right. And what the sheriff's, and the sheriff, to expound upon what the sheriff said too, you know, there's a lot of times they use these roach clips too, which, you know, is a little clip, and they use that to smoke the marijuana as it gets over the end. Basically, you know, what the sheriff is describing there is that paper clip is really a makeshift roach clip, is what it is. But that's just a number of things that we see as what becomes drug paraphernalia. But you know, we are still bound to follow the law. Even though it's an ordinance violation, we're still bound to follow the case law and the jury instruction that talks about what is and is not drug paraphernalia. Because if they have a trial, if they have a jury trial, or if they have a court trial, the judge is gonna look at what is the Wisconsin jury instruction for drug paraphernalia. So, and if you fellows would like me to send you under cover of letter what a copy of the jury instruction is for drug paraphernalia, I'd be happy to do that.
Was there anything preceding this? I mean, I'm sure there has to be something already set up. What is the difference between what we have or had and what is now?
I don't believe there is a drug paraphernalia ordinance on the
okay.
books.
So the
That's-
difference is the ordinance word.
Right, and what the situation is here is that the statute, of course, is being adopted, and the statute has never been adopted into the county's ordinance system. I think we have disorderly conduct, we have obstructing, which are common ones. Then there's some animal complaint ones and things like that. This would become within the context of the ordinance system and would be used in that manner. Now, they don't have to file ordinance violations. They could still refer this stuff, which is commonly done. Let's say, like Randy talks about, an ordinance or a search warrant. A lot of times, if there's quite a bit of drug paraphernalia there, we will charge one count of drug paraphernalia, which is a misdemeanor, and we'll bulk in what it all is. For example, if it's growing equipment, or if it's pipes and papers and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to drug paraphernalia, I think that the issue is always what is the intended use for the object that the officer is saying is drug paraphernalia.
Greg, how come the time period between the first and second offense? Do we need a time period in there?
On the back page, isn't it? The back look at it.
The
12-month period.
Section
The person
4.
who violates this ordinance is subject to a forfeiture of not less than $50, but not more than $500, together with court costs and costs of prosecution for a first offense, and not less than $500, but not more than $1,000, together with court costs and costs of prosecution for second offense occurring within a 12-month period. So basically, what they are saying is it's a graduated type of thing, like it is, for example, juvenile drinking. If they get one ticket and it's an ordinance ticket for juvenile drinking, and then they get another one, then it's more money. It costs more money the second time around than it does the first time around if it's within a period of time. And I think that's what the ordinance was drafted to reflect is, okay, let's say you get a drug paraphernalia violation, and it's going to be up between $50 and $500, and then the second one is going to be between $500 and $1,000. That's real. I see that real commonly in ordinance violations of a criminal that we're adopting criminal statutes. I think
I just feel that we shouldn't, it should be, I agree with the second offense, but I got caught the first time, and now if I can behave for 12 months, and I get caught the 13th month, then I'm back to my first offense.
right.
I'm not on my second offense according to this.
Well,
Why don't we just, or why isn't the second offense the second offense? No time frame.
I don't. Do you have a comment on that? I really don't have an I don't have an objection. I mean, as far as if you say first offense, second offense, it doesn't make any difference. That doesn't make any difference.
I don't know. Sure.
I think what we're doing is just trying to follow along with how we do other ordinances, kind of like what the DA said about like drinking citations. This is kind of how we do it with that. Truthfully, if you wanted to put it where there's no time limit and it's just simply a ongoing thing, I got no problem with that, because I think it would hit probably harder than, like you say, 13th month I'm back to $50. But
Yeah.
we were just trying to follow, I think, when Tony helped put this together along with Tom and the DA, to follow what we do with other violations and that, so.
If you adopt statute, state statute for a county ordinance, can you change the language? Or do you have to adopt it in
You
total?
have to adopt, my understanding, you have to ask Tony, but my understanding is you can adopt the statute, but the statute has to be adopted in the manner in which it is drafted. Now, as far as monetary penalties, though, I don't know that that is a foul, if you will, that you are saying that monetary penalties are going to be graduated, because that happens in a lot of cases.
I was just thinking if you adopt a county ordinance, that you have to take the whole statute, if that's part of the whole statute, well then
Then we
you
can't
got
do
it no
nothing
matter
wrong.
what you want to
Right.
do with it.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
agree.
was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, here, for any person who violates under the criminal law, the fine may be not more than $500 or imprisonment not more than 30 days or both. So the statute is, the ordinance is drafted that the second time around you're going to be paying more than what the statute is. But I know that to be pretty common practice within other jurisdictions as far as graduating the penalties.
Do they have to find drugs on their premises to have this ordinance for drug paraphernalia?
Would they have to find drugs? Well, they could just, we often see where an officer may be at a home from, let's say, for example, for a domestic violence type of situation. And sitting on the table is a pipe that is commonly known for the purposes of using as drug, to introduce drugs into the body for the smoking purpose. And so the officer may see that in plain view, look at it, inspect it, and decide that yes, this does have an odor of burned marijuana. They can test it with this test that they use, the Duke Levine. It shows positive that it is marijuana. It is drug paraphernalia. So that's a scenario in answer to your question about that.
But if there's no evidence or there's no marijuana on that pipe,
If there's no, yeah, well, you could legally go and buy these things in a store as long as they're not used, and you can't put any type of facts together to make sure, or put any facts together to make that it is used for the purposes of introducing drugs, or it is drug paraphernalia. I mean, they used to have a place in Black Creek, and I imagine there's other places around it. They sell those glass bongs and all that kind of stuff, or they can buy them on the internet and stuff like that. So, no, there wouldn't have to be drugs present, but if there is that pipe and there is residue that can test positive for a controlled substance, then yes, it would be eligible to be given cited under this ordinance, if you will, or criminal charge. Because oftentimes now, let's say the person wants to go to trial on that. Well, this isn't drug paraphernalia, and he wants to make the argument. All he found is that pipe. You didn't have any marijuana. Well, one of the things we do is we send it to the sheriff's department. Evidence people will send it to Wausau, and they'll test it, and they'll send it back and say, yep, it tests positive tetrahydrocannabinols, and so there's proof positive there. Now, we don't typically do that in ordinance cases. Ordinance cases, I think, would be more or less, I suppose if you went to court trial, then you'd have to get it tested. If you went to court trial on that, or jury trial, yeah, you'd have to get it tested. But if a person just comes in and agrees, yeah, it's drug paraphernalia, then they pay the ticket and away they go. But any type of further proceedings, a court trial, then we'd have to treat it just like a criminal case. Now, 88 White prosecutes all of the ordinance violations, and it's her practice. For example, Menominee County comes down maybe two months ago or so, and I happened to be in the courtroom, and Catherine was doing the ordinance violations, and Menominee County has an ordinance for possession and drug paraphernalia. And so the guy said, well, I want a trial. Catherine said, fine. of a trial. But if we're going to have a trial, then I'm going to just dismiss this ordinance violation, charge, and we're going to reissue it as a criminal violation. Well, then the person said, well, I'd rather have an ordinance violation, so they paid the ticket and away they go. So that's another common thing we see when we're dealing with these types of situations. People would rather not have a criminal violation on their record, and they'll just pay the ordinance violation.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this ordinance and send it on to the county board.
Is there a second, gentlemen? I'll second the motion. Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. 5.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Ben.
And if you guys want me to send that along, and that, to answer your question, what is drug paraphernalia, you can read it for yourself, so I'll send it to you.
And what you would,
Hey, just a little question for you. What were you doing in the store in Blackbird?
Oh, I drove trying to buy the place. It's closed now.
investigating, you investigating.
Yeah.
you were buying some attire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you very much. Okay, I see Mr. Jesse's here. Mike, you want to start with your coroner's report?
Here. Oh, was that out of order, or was that?
No, he's finished.
Having a bad order with Kathy. Okay, sorry I'm late.
You're right on time, sir.
Okay, starting with September. I didn't hand out a sheet in September, so I brought it today. So just starting with September then. I had 34 calls in the month of September. There was 7 cremation calls. There was 1 suicide call and 26 calls where the coroner was needed. Okay, any questions on September? Okay, then I'll continue on to October. Okay, October there were 45 calls. There was 11 cremation calls. There was 1 fatal crash. And there were 33 calls where the coroner was needed. And that should conclude October. Any questions on there?
The fatal crash, Mike,
Yeah.
when or where or what was that?
Okay, the one in October was in Tigerton. What it was a SUV crash where a 76-year-old lady was driving a SUV on her property in Tigerton, and she crashed it, and it flipped over and landed on top of her, and that was the fatal crash.
SUV or
I'm sorry.
ATV or SUV?
ATV, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that counts as a fatality, highway fatality?
I counted it as a fatality, yes. It was similar to it.
Yeah, but that shouldn't really,
Oh,
Pardon?
because this was discussed, I thought, at highway safety meeting, and there was no determination. I mean, it was, my understanding was not going to be a highway fatality as counted against Shawano County.
Okay, well, that's,
And I think the DNR was handling the investigation of it too, I believe.
yeah, it didn't happen on a road.
no, it didn't.
Yeah, so then it wouldn't be a highway fatality.
I was just wondering where it was, or
Yeah,
I had heard about it, but
okay.
So do you want to amend your October one then to go back to 4 fatal crashes?
I still classified it as a fatal crash. I didn't hear anything from anybody else about it. I didn't talk to,
So when you say fatal crash, it can be any place?
sure,
Okay. Is anybody here on the highway committee?
yeah, I am. I'm chairman of the committee,
Okay.
Highway safety.
highway safety.
So what do you think about it? Should
I-
it be adjusted on that?
I believe there was, a decision wasn't made yet.
That was a meeting that I didn't make, Ken, because the
Yeah.
road was still, so I'm not sure what was made on that.
The state is changing, or in the process of changing how they classify.
I'm
And
sorry.
it wasn't,
Go ahead.
there might have been maybe this wasn't the one. There was one that possibly was a medical, caused by medical reasons. And that's why I was questioning him about the fatality. And I didn't know if an accident on your own property, that's,
I don't think it'd be classified for our office, Ken, but now how Mike wants to classify it for his, I guess that's Mike, but I know for ours, I don't think it'd be classified as a highway accident.
No.
Because it's on private property.
Right.
So, I think that would reflect what reports we would send in, or I should say maybe the DNR, because I believe the DNR is handling that investigation. And how Mike wants to display it on his reports, I guess that would be.
yeah, we'll have to watch it. You know, January we'll get it as our next meeting, and see what the number of fatal crashes are for Shawano County.
Whether that's tallied against us or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there probably should be no reason to count it against us, though, we should.
No.
And this should be no different than a guy getting killed with a tractor or anything else, right?
Right, so,
But in Mike's stuff, when it's called fatal crash, then it should be counted on his stuff, right?
I guess that's depending on how you want to use the words. If it's a fatal crash, she died from a fatal crash. Just that it
Die
would,
from a fatal
yeah,
crash.
just that it wouldn't be traffic, highway related.
Right.
It'd be on her property, so it wouldn't make it a highway fatality, but a crash, yeah, I guess Mike could say it was a crash related, so. Semantics, I guess you call it.
Do we need a motion to accept,
I'll make a motion to accept the coroner's report.
I'll second.
this for September and October?
I think we accepted last month.
Yeah, we
anyhow.
accepted that already.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Put it in there for September and
I did.
October, just so it's
I
covered.
put them both in. Didn't wanna hurt anything.
Okay.
It was in the minutes.
Okay, Mike, let's move on then to your resolution for,
Yeah. You have a question about that bill going to finance already?
well, that's where we're gonna start right now, isn't that
Oh,
what the
okay.
resolution is?
Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay.
Yep, you're right,
Yes, sir.
jumping ahead.
No, I thought I was in the right spot.
It's all right.
There you are.
Thank you.
Okay, now on the, I think I'm caught up now with what you guys needed and for the state. And I had I guess what I'm doing is kind of jumping ahead because of what I read in the paper. I don't even know, I think it was today's paper, that Lee had put in there, and it was about the supervisors, it was supervisors paying proposed cremation fee increase. Okay, with that there. Okay, now this here should answer your questions as to what the state has now for the cremation fees for the state. And and it shows the counties in Wisconsin that has a higher cremation fee than what I was asking for. And are there any questions about this at all? I understand that from what I read in the paper, I think that was today, but I was called on that and I read it over and I guess I'd like your input on it. I guess Mr. Nufke had kind of said that, well, I guess,
Yeah, me, whatever my name
and
is.
you,
What's his name?
Tom.
Up there?
Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. That, anyway, I'd just like to answer some questions on that, why you feel it's not necessary.
Well, I spoke at the meeting and I wrote for the resolution, I wrote an opinion on it. I'm no attorney, but they ask for my opinion when they have resolutions. And I was opposed to it because I just think it's, number one, the statute is vague. It just says the county will issue a permit. It doesn't say the county has to charge people for this. And I just don't believe that government, you're gonna hear from a person who loves government, but I don't believe a government should be intrusive and have people filling out forms or getting a permit for something that is as private and personal as the interment of a loved one. I know the state allows the counties to give out a permit for cremation. I just don't think it's that labor intensive, to be honest with you. And I think it's government intrusion during a time when you've got a family that's perhaps weakened by the death of a loved one. And I just don't think it's appropriate. that we have to charge that kind of a fee. I think $125 is too much. You know, and I just don't think it's appropriate to charge that kind of money, especially since it's a form. Now, Mike says that he's got to have a fingerprint and a picture. The statute doesn't say that. I don't know why you need to, be honest with you, Mike, I don't know why you have to fingerprint a dead person. I don't get that, you know, but,
I think,
you know.
I think there is a law that says,
well, then, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot, Mike, but you
Yeah.
got to show it to us. I just don't believe there is something. I read the statute, there's nothing in there about that. It's a very vague statute. And, again, I just don't think it's appropriate for the county to go meddling in something as private as that. And again, I would be opposed to the state statute myself. I would be opposed to any fee. What is the county's business that someone's going to be cremated? You know, I just don't get that. What are they going to ask us next? Next time we bury a dog, we have to get a permit? You know, so like I said, I'm opposed to it because I think it's intrusive to the people that are going through a tough time in their lives. It should be between the funeral home and the bereaved. So I was opposed to it.
I just went through too and I did a count here and there's 47 of the other counties are at the same price or below us. And I guess at this point in time, Mike, I don't want to step on your toes here, but I'm going to make a motion that we table this. And leave it alone.
Yeah, I'll second. How did it get to the finance committee already?
I don't know, it was, ask him.
It was on the agenda. I'm not part of the finance committee. I sit down on it.
I'm not the one that
Because they denied it.
You're the one that put it in the paper.
I don't know how it got there first.
I
I'm
don't
not
know
the county
that.
administrator,
I
so.
don't know why.
I don't do a finance agenda. You know, my guess is that because you guys tabled it, they picked it up. You tabled it last month.
Okay, just,
Yeah.
Because
you
we didn't
know,
have all the information.
Right,
we wanted.
right.
We didn't have the same-
Why it was put on the agenda, you'll have to talk to whoever puts on the agenda. Probably the committee chair.
Then you're saying we do not want to vote on this resolution?
Tabling it.
here's a resolution.
You got to call.
You know, like you guys
Well,
said.
we got a motion to table, is there a second?
This resolution was
Yeah.
drawn up. I think it's.
Okay, all in favor?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
You're supposed to quit here. What is the difference between tabling it and voting it down?
This has been going on.
Well, if you table it, I assume you can come
Huh?
back for it later on.
I think you're right.
That's why I asked if we wanted to vote. If we would vote no, it would be gone.
Yeah. It makes no difference to me. All I'm trying to do is,
How do you want to do it? Don't table it?
Yeah.
Get rid of it then. I mean, he can always
Well,
bring
then
it
I'll
back.
make a motion that we
Just reject it.
do not approve the
I need a motion
cremation.
to how we vote on this resolution.
Well, maybe you should just, if you don't like it, just vote it down.
That's right.
So
You want
call
to
the
make a
question.
motion on bringing the resolution
Just
forward?
call the question to vote up and vote it down if you
who
want.
cares, yeah. It's,
I'll make a motion that we bring the resolution forward. I'll
Okay,
second.
is there a second?
I'll second. Then we can vote it down.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay,
You seconded it, okay.
all right. All in favor of this resolution, say aye. All opposed to this resolution, say nay.
Aye.
Nay, aye,
Whatever.
okay. Okay, is it unanimous that we are all opposing this resolution? Hearing no other comment, I assume it's unanimous.
okay, fine.
All right, thank you,
It's
sir.
over and done with.
At
I'll
this
throw it
level-
out. Which is fine with me then. But half of you guys don't know where this all started. And this all started,
Let's get on here.
years ago when Doug Knope was the owner. Okay, there was absolutely nothing in here, and so it started, and I continued it, and that's fine. I will, so there's no hard feelings, I don't care one way or another, it's over and done. So,
I would suggest that there be a resolution to reduce.
well, it's,
Okay, is the resolution coming down for us to sign it, all those?
I'm just looking to try to find the resolution we had, because the one you're gonna sign is not the one we had. And I don't know why we should be signing a resolution that is not the same as the resolution that was presented to us.
What's the difference?
It has a finance committee on it.
Again, I don't know why finance committee brought it up. You may want to talk to,
I have the finance committee on mine. It was brought up in September.
Which one, what committee is on there? You and,
Yeah, finance really don't need to be on it.
I understand that, but isn't that what,
I thought our resolution didn't have that on.
it does on mine?
yeah, because if you had to go to two committees, when it deals with money, it's got to.
maybe that's why finance picked it up. It needs two committees.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they met before the county board.
But we have never approved or disapproved that resolution.
Well, we did
This
today.
committee until today.
Right.
Does
Does it make a difference which committee goes first? I don't know. I'm just asking.
It should have came through here because we're the home committee.
Yeah.
My only thought would be is maybe finance met before us guys, so they decided they're just gonna put on finance, because it'd follow that progression on up to next Wednesday's meeting.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
And the only thing I can think of, as far as what you
We
charge.
squashed it, it's not
Yeah.
going no place.
Yeah, but the only thing I can say as far as,
Oh, they did too?
Yeah, they voted it down
Yeah,
too.
they did.
Did they vote on it?
Yes, they did. They did not approve it because they did not feel there was a good reason for the increase. But now, I have to ask, so I've got this right. Huntington made a motion to table it, and I wasn't even gonna use that, I was just gonna go with your last one, but apparently. So Huntington made a motion to table the resolution, second by Cooper. No. So then, we had Huntington made a motion to forward the resolution, second by Ron, and then all of a sudden we had opposition. Now, did you wanna forward it so it could be opposed?
I don't wanna forward it, I wanna squash it. Want it
Well,
done.
but you said forward it now.
I know, well, Mike told me to say that.
To forward the resolution so we can vote it.
Jump off a bridge.
Well, I think the best way, I mean, it's already been voted on, and so I'm no parliamentary expert, but maybe you should rescind the first two motions you had, one to table and one to, what was the other one, Kathy? The first two.
What I'm doing
Forward.
exactly what he's saying now. That's my next motion.
It's a little bit after the fact, but, you know,
Huntington made a motion to table the resolution, second by Cooper, discussion.
they were never voted on though, were they?
That wasn't, so that, yeah, we never voted on that part, so that can be wiped off.
I think what would have had to happen is Bert would have had to rescind his motion,
Exactly, and then the second rescind his second, and then it's
a
dead.
friendly rescind,
Exactly,
and then move
exactly.
forward with the next one.
Yeah, yeah. So what we may have to look at is maybe to start the process all over again. You rescind your first two motions, your second, or rescinds the 2 seconds, and then vote again on the resolution.
I think that can be done as long as you haven't moved on to another topic. If you
Right.
Moved on to another topic.
Once we go with, yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to rescind my motion to table.
I'll rescind my second.
There.
Okay, so that's dead.
Gonna vote on it, I think.
Huh?
Don't you have to vote on it?
No, not on rescinding.
That was
And then I'll rescind
I got
my
the other
motion to forward it.
ready? Okay.
You've got to come in.
Yeah, 'cause you seconded.
Okay, I'll rescind my second.
There we go.
All right, and now what?
Well, if you really want to make it
There
legit,
wasn't anything there, I'm surprised.
do the vote all over again, because those should have been
This is what I
rescinded
wrote
before the,
Yeah, but we have to make a motion to vote on first. Now tell me what motion we make it.
To not approve it.
That's what I tried before, and they all
I
stopped.
No. Now you're, now, go ahead,
Now I
Randy.
make-
You can explain it better than I
The
can, I
only,
think.
the only thing I'd like to do is just make a comment as to what Mike said, and I know you talk about, intrusiveness into the burials, and I feel it is intrusive. What fee is charged, but I do believe there is something, and I'm not sure what the statute is, where Mike does, or the coroner does have to take a fingerprint and a photograph, because once a person is cremated, and I know when I worked for the police department, we had a case involving someone from here down in Florida and a question on a body. So I think once you cremate somebody in their dust, it's too late to take a
Like
fingerprint and
just for
photograph.
records.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
So,
and that's
I
why
didn't
it
see it in,
would have been 979.
yeah, I didn't see it in the,
Okay, so where are we now? We move this thing in so we can vote? No, we already voted. The move, the issue is done.
Motion to oppose.
There we go.
Now we need a second.
That was my motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now we need a vote.
Right. And we've already got it signed off.
He's making a
Yeah,
motion
but
to
now-
oppose it, second by McClellan.
now you're voting aye instead of nay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Because in reality, we didn't have to sign this.
I think you do have to circle no though anyway because it's there.
Because you rejected
Okay,
that resolution.
I trust you know what you're talking about. Let's move on.
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we?
Okay, this I have to turn in then?
Just give that to Kathy. Kathy will take care
Yeah,
of it.
it's all done. Is there anything you'd like to stick on, because we can deviate for you then?
No, I don't think so. You go ahead.
Do you want to be, if you're going to be around here for this closed session?
I don't think I need to be. If it's what happened this past week, no, you don't need me for that at all.
Okay, because I don't think anybody here knows what happened this week. Okay, so then we're back down in the schedule. We're going to emergency management
Okay.
and the monthly report.
Yep, you guys should have received a written report from me. It's kind of a busy month. I had to attend a couple conferences as a requirement of my plan of work, which is,
Is that what POW is?
that's what POW is,
Oh.
plan of work.
Plan of work.
I know, too many acronyms. I try and get rid of them, but they still slip through once in a while. And that's what I sign every year that I get the grants that cover half my salary. So I sign a plan of work, and that was one of the requirements. I also attended the Wisconsin Association for Floodplains. I got a scholarship to attend that, which is a nice opportunity. And then a lot of grant closeout since everything kind of begins and ends in September and October. So those are the main things that I've been working on. Any questions on what I submitted for the report? Okay. And the only other thing is, Ken, I did follow up on your siren testing question. I had our regional emergency management meeting yesterday, and every other county in the Northeast region does year-round siren testing. So I think it behooves us to kind of stay on the same schedule. They do the testing to make sure the equipment's working. Some indicate there is that concern about the icing, but it's better to test it annually than try and re-educate every year, or not annually, monthly, sorry. So.
We test ours every day. And if we're gonna blow a whistle at 11 o'clock on December 18th or whatever, why? There's just no reason to blow that siren in December.
To deviate from the standard across the state, I think puts us kind of in jeopardy. I think we should stay consistent with what the other counties are doing. I think if anything, I need to get out and do more public outreach. People understand why we test these all the time. Really, a siren is out there to tell people to turn to their weather radio, turn on the news to find out what's going on. And we do the testing to make sure it works. The one thing we don't have right now that I'm working to implement is we know the sirens are tested, but we don't get feedback saying, yep, they worked. And I'm asking our fire departments to step up and say, yep, we heard the siren go off, so that way we're tracking and documenting it. But I really think it's important that we stick to the testing. Because we test every spring and summer when we have the severe weather. It's a consistency that we keep doing it. And it's an all or nothing. We can't just pick and choose which sirens get tested because dispatch sets those off. And at the same time, these are owned by the localities. I'm not sure it's for the county to say we stop testing the sirens. I think it would really have to come from the locals who own these sirens for us to stop the schedule that they've been on.
Well, I disagree, I'm sorry, but that siren has got a reason why we're testing it. We're testing it for tornado warnings. We're not testing it for snowstorms, foggy weather. One purpose that it has, for tornado. And we don't have tornadoes here in December.
Well, the flip side of that is there's a couple counties, and I left my notes in my office, that actually use their sirens for hazmat incidents. So if you had an incident, basically, again, it's that if that siren goes off, you're telling people to tune to their weather radio, tune to the news, so that way they know what's going on. And so it can be used for more than just tornadoes. That's what the primary purpose is, but there are counties who use it for hazmat incidents. We don't currently right now. I really think it's people get used to hearing that siren. If you don't start doing that, there's a complacency with it, and really it's a public education piece.
It's nice too if the siren does fail in the wintertime, that you have a chance to fix it before the summer season really comes. It could fail in December, and it gives you a little bit of time to fix it up before spring. Keep it in good operating position.
And in Cecil, they blow it every day.
We blow it every day, 7 days a week.
Gresham does, Bondwell does, a lot of towns do, which is
I
fine.
mean, I can see it just, that warning becoming no warning at all.
And that's where the public education side of it comes in, and that's why every year during Tornado Awareness Week, there's a public education campaign. We've got Facebook that I'm using, and so it's all about educating the public, so that way they know what these sirens mean and why we continue to test them.
Move on.
Okay, any other questions? Natalie? Jeff, you're up.
Okay,
Do we do that?
Do we have to make a motion to accept
The
that?
corner gets paid off, it is that.
Oh, got it.
we had a resolution not too long ago to get some mobiles and portables replaced in the sheriff's department. While this isn't tower related, it is indirectly. But we did receive all those units, and we have 5 portables left to deploy out of the group, and we have 9 mobiles installed already. So we're coming up with you all on that. As soon as we get those all installed and placed, then we'll cut over the Sheriff 1 and 2 simulcast channels, which are ready to go. We're just standing on the sideline waiting for that. So we're hoping for December 2nd. If that target date works out with everybody, we'll be doing that on the 2nd of December. So, and don't anticipate any major problems, but just in case we might move it up a few days or down a few days, depending on the schedules. So just thought I'd update you on that. Other than that, as far as the existing simulcast systems and everything, we're working on a few problems that aren't major problems, but we're working on those to try and get those out of the system yet. Mostly on like a data loss or something. It's not causing any problems with paging or anything like that, but we want to get that out of the system. Looks like it might be something inside the simulcast system itself, the hardware. So we're working with Motorola Solutions to find that. Other problems are mostly with like units out in the field. Gresham EMS, we had in dispatch had a list of pages that go out for testing, and the order of those pages was causing some problems, so we got that resolved between EMS. We're working on some of their portables and units that receive the fire pages just fine, but the EMS pages aren't being received fine. We're looking at that to see if there's some coding problems inside their radios that are causing alarm. That's where that is right now. It looks like it's in their units. We're just trying to figure out what it is the problem. Maybe a firmware issue with their radios. I know Burnwood had a problem with that. They had to reflash their radios out in the field because they had an older version of firmware that was causing some problems. So just little problems like that, but we're trying to iron those all out and get those out of the way. As far as the tower sites go, we're still working on a few R56 requirements for grounding and wiring to get those issues not causing any problems, but it fixes the grounding up at those sites. And alarm circuits, we're getting those, working on those also to get the sites alarmed so that we can monitor the sites remotely from back here at dispatch. Only other issue with towers is the NTC tower in Wittenberg. It's owned by North Central Technical College. That lease is coming up on that tower site very soon, and it's a negotiation with the landowner to get that ironed out. We're just letting you know that we did get a letter from them that they're having some issues trying to get that contract, finalized between the owner of the land and the college that owns the tower. So that lease was like a 25-year lease, and it's coming up. Matter of fact, maybe already passed, and they're just trying to iron out the issues. I think they will eventually come up with what their issues are and get it resolved. But for now, that could be an issue where the tower site could just disappear, which would not be good for a lot of people that are on that tower already. So I'm sure they're going to work it out. But we're just letting you know that we did get a letter from NTC that they're having some contract issues with that. We suspect by the next month or so we'll have that ironed out. I hope so anyway. So, but we just update you on that. That's a possibility of a issue in the future. There are quite a few vendors on there that stuck a lot of money into that site for cellular. The school district is on there. We're on there. Shaw County, AT&T is on there. So it's not like they're going to just be able to demolish the site because of the contract issues. So I'm sure they'll come up with the issues. But there is a possibility that there'd be a lease increase or something next year or the year after, whenever they resolve it. We just want to bring that up as a possibility that they may want to charge more of a lease than what we're paying right now. Right now, we're only paying electrical, so we're getting a really great deal. So, there's a possibility they may charge us a little bit of rent or something. I'm not sure what they'll come up with. But I'll have more information on that in the next month or so. I think that's about it.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Before I came on the board, you had some issues with coverage in the western part of the county, and you either installed or did something with some of the areas by either building new towers or creating something to have a better coverage.
In the western part?
Yeah, in the western part.
No, the only towers that are in the western part are in Anawa, which is an existing site. The NTC site, which we were just talking about, that's existing. The other tower that we did get on for the sheriff channels is at the state patrol site in Wittenberg, which isn't a new site, but it's a new site for us. We do have some receivers out there, but now we have transmitters also for the sheriff channels. The only new tower that was installed, other than that, it's not really on the western side, but it's more central, is down in Marion, Shocker Tower it's called. It's actually just across the border into Wapaka County. And that tower is a new tower, but that was developed by Wapaka County. We're just residents there.
Well, I guess I'm getting back into the Bondwell area. Bondwell has a new tower which covers Bondwell area pretty well, except the eastern part of the county still has spotty coverage. I'm talking about maybe down toward Maple Grove, Green Valley, in that area. I don't know what the process would be done to get a little better coverage for those areas there. Do you have to work with Brown County or Gamey County to get those parts covered?
What we originally had was, we have, if you look at the western part of the county, we have two towers right on the county line, just about. That'd be Wittenberg and up into Anawa. At the east side, we don't have anything right on the line. We have Bondwell kind of covering that whole area out there. And that was a tower that was put up about 6-7 years ago. The state actually owns the tower site. We own the land, and we both have our own equipment buildings on that site, so we kind of cohabit. As part of the Simulcast project, we do have a couple sites that are projected that could be added in various parts of the counties, not just on the east side, but there are possibilities if they want to improve coverage and so forth. One would be out in the Galloway area for the west side if they wanted to do the southwestern part into the other counties out there to fill in that corner of the county. Another one could be in the Mattoon area, which is a religious broadcasting tower up there. We could add that to get us into Menominee County in that corner a little bit. We also projected another site that could be added in the Nichols, which is down in the Navarino area, and that would improve things out there and fill it out even further out towards the border. And another site is another site that's up in the northwest corner, which is up around Green Valley area, and that,
Northeast?
That'd be northeast.
Northeast, okay, northeast corner, yeah. And that would fill in that area out there, there's possibilities. Also, another one that Plasky had talked about, that they were interested in maybe in the future adding something in that area. So there is I believe it's an AT&T tower that could fill in that area down there. We'd have to develop those sites, but the systems that we have now are capable of that. You can always add more sites in, which you couldn't do before without the simulcast portion of the simulcast system. But it also supports a number of different radio systems that are out there. That site, again, is another cohabitation site with the DNR and the Department of Transportation. So they have equipment out there also, in addition to ours. And some of that power consumption is offset a little bit, but like, for instance, NOAA Weather is out there because there's bad coverage right in our county in that area and to the north. And they have a transmitter out there also. And we get money back every month for power consumption. It's not much, but we get, I think it's around, I have to look at CM contract, but I think it's right around $50 or $75 a month or something like that we get back. Also, that's the only vendor out there that really pays us back anything for power. Department of Transportation, and then they grandfather it because we cohabitate sites together at State Patrol, at Bonduel, and also at Gresham. And so their equipment runs on our electricity there because we share those sites with them also. They don't charge us anything at their sites for power.
So that tower's kind of the center of the whole county, is what it is.
It's the prime site, yeah.
Right.
So it is a hub for everything, yeah. We could try and go out there, maybe turn down the heating a little bit or something to try to keep it, in the wintertime, we don't use as much electrical as we do in the summer. Summer, we have to cool the equipment, so there's not much we can do there. We try to keep it cooler in there around 70 degrees to 68 degrees, right around there. But in the wintertime, we pull cold air from outside, so it doesn't cost anything for air conditioning. Just may cost something for heating, but usually the equipment keeps it pretty warm in there, so there's not much of a heating bill. So you'll notice the bill will change seasonally. Goes up a little more in the summertime, goes down more in the wintertime, but average pretty much at some point in the middle. But I'm not sure if we can do much out there. I can take a look at the thermostat again and see if we can maybe adjust it down a little bit or something. Try and do something like that. But pretty much it stays at a constant temperature in there all year.
It's just, when you look at the bills, it's not $35 or $40. The difference is like $500. That's a lot of money.
It does fluctuate.
And that's a month.
Yeah. And in the summertime too, you end up paying these surcharges, and they have power factor changes, the electric company changes, there's all different kinds of things that they do with the bills. And it does fluctuate. And they have money that they also charge you for people that don't pay their bills. It comes in every once in a while on the bill. It fluctuates a bit, but yeah, it's good. It is quite a bit, but that's, if you look at all the equipment out there, that building's getting pretty full.
Maybe we should be looking at increasing the rent or something.
We have one vendor for NOAA Weather that we charge for that. It's kind of a public service for our area to have better coverage for that, for the people in the counties here. And so it's kind of hard to increase it a lot, but we could look at that and see if maybe, I think we're getting back what their actually their consumption is for the charges for electricity. We're getting that back. We could look at maybe making a little extra, but it's kind of like a public service kind of thing. It helps the people in the area. That's what gives you your NOAA weather broadcasts for your scanners and so forth. One thing we could do is get some vendors out there. If we could get a cellular company out there or something, that would be something we could save a little money from that.
Yeah.
Because we definitely we could charge them more than we could anybody else. Everybody out there that's at the site right now is either governmental or or some form of that, so service or whatever. So we do have enough room on the tower for one cellular array up there. So we've had a few cellular customers nibble a little bit. Right now, we're not expanding a lot.
Jeff, I've only got one question. Have you contacted Kevin Conrad lately?
The last time I contacted him, I gave him the graphics for a presentation we gave the fire EMS.
He's happy?
He seems to be happy with everything. He hasn't any questions or anything.
Okay. He keeps sticking me at the county board meeting about his radio reception out there.
Okay.
Well, we do have that tracking system in place, so we set up the new broadcast system. Myself, Jeff, and Maria can all access it. We've asked all the fire departments, all the EMS departments, if they're out and they have an issue on their radio to let us know. We track that online, and then once a month we're testing those issues. Right now, we had, I believe, 7 issues last month, and that was in that PowerPoint we sent Kevin, that were all tested. It was only minor static. And I believe there's 7 more that have been reported we haven't tested yet, but we will, hopefully before the end of the new year, or this year. So if they have issues, they need to be reporting it to us, and that's what I've stressed at the Fire Association meeting, at the EMS Association meeting, because that's the best way we can document these issues.
And then if we see a lot of areas that are having problems, we can always, again, consider another tower in that area. But it's pretty much going to have to be up to them to request that, based on the number of problems they're having right now. But the tile testing has confirmed that it works pretty well in all those areas out there, at least with our initial testing and everything. So.
Is there any way you can use solar panels out there?
When we built the Gresham site, we looked at a couple of different things. One, solar. It takes a lot of solar arrays, and it's very expensive to get set up. And of course, you're subject to the winds of the sun in this area. It's not the best place for solar arrays. We also looked at PEM fuel cells. That's another way where they actually bring fuel up to you to those sites in canisters. It's hydrogen that they use for the fuel cell. They work pretty well too. Very expensive to set up initially, but then of course you got to have somebody bringing fuel up there to power it, and then if commercial power goes out, it's there. If not, but you pretty much would run off those all the time. The PEM fuel cells take a while to get going, so it's not like a generator where you can crank it up and run it, within a few minutes. The cells take like an hour to warm up, so you usually run off those constantly. So there's a cost of hauling that fuel up there. There are some sites, it's kind of reserved for sites that are so remote that you really can't get there very easily with commercial power. So there are some options out there, and none of them are really, they might help, but they cost a lot to set up. It's not really a feasible thing to do.
Okay.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Nellie. We'll move on then to inmate healthcare contract renewal.
We have a contract in place with correctional healthcare company, used to be HBO. And we've had a contract with them for 10 years. Some years it's an annual renewal, sometimes it's a 3-year renewal. And when it's time for renewal, I bring it to the committee, see if they still want to keep going with this company. And it only has to go through this committee. You approve it, then I give it to Jerry, he signs off on the contract. After Tony, of course, looks at the contract, make sure it's in our best interest, which he has already done. It goes to Jerry, he signs it, and we're good to go. The money for the contract is already in the budget, so I'm not asking for any more funds. It's already been included in the budget. They have a 1-year renewal and then a 3-year renewal. My recommendation would be go to the 3-year renewal. The annual, they go by the Consumer Price Index or something in CPI, and the rate for an annual renewal is higher. It's like about 3.94% increase. I believe that's because the trade-off is it's a shorter time period for us. We can make adjustments every year if we want to. For them, since they don't know if we're gonna be back the next year, their percentage goes up a little bit on the annual contract. The 3-year contract, it stays the same for the first year, then it goes up 2.5 the next second year and 2.5 the third year. So overall, we're saving money by going on a 3-year contract, but the trade-off is that they have us for 3 years. So they're more comfortable with the fact that they will probably be garnering less, but they know they have the business. Currently, we have about $220,000 in that budget for the inmate health care. That includes a 40-hour nurse, 40-hour per week nurse. Doctor comes in on call for about 2 hours a week, on site, I should say, on site for 2 hours a week. We use our local pharmacy. They take care of our bills, they take care of their employees. Per the contract, if an employee isn't working out to our satisfaction for any reason, we just say we don't want that nurse or that doctor here anymore, get us a new one. And they have to do it, for any reason whatsoever. We also have at this service the 24-hour call-in. So we could call a hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if we have an inmate that's presenting a problem, we could, we have enough training that we can give them some of the vital signs and the readings that we have, and the doctor on call will make the determination whether or not the inmate should go to the hospital or whether they can be taken care of in the facility. It's worked out very well for us. We've been with this company for 10 years. I'm looking through my notes here trying to find a couple of things that I wrote down, and I probably can't. Prior to them coming on board, we were spending deputy transport was spending an average of about 26 hours a month driving people back and forth to the hospital or to a clinic or to their dentist or to whomever. Since we've had them, it's 4.8 hours a month. So we dropped it considerably. And there's quite a cost savings when you don't have to have 1 or 2 deputies running inmates around 26 hours a month. So my recommendation is, the money's there, we planned for it, we budgeted for it. CHC has been great for us. So my recommendation is go another 3 years with them. Have Jerry sign it. We'll see you guys in 3 years and we'll do it again.
What's the name of the company?
Correctional healthcare companies. They deal specifically with inmate healthcare. I don't know that they're worldwide. I know they're nationwide. They sewn up a pretty good percentage of Wisconsin jails.
I will entertain a motion to enter into a 3-year contract with healthcare.
I'll second that.
A motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we're down to exempt employee PTO concerns.
Well, this came about with finance. I had given a directive out because as sheriff I got operational authority over the sheriff's office. And I believe it was 2 meetings ago before September 20th when I mentioned to you folks about that if we were to abide by the rules that finance put out and not do some accommodations to our people that are exempt, we'd be in the red real fast. So we've been trying to manage that. I believe within the last month now came from Tom Madsen in finance as to that actually directing one of our employees how to put their time card in, and that they would have to take personal time off rather than just us saying they could be compensated for the additional time that they had done. Now back on the employee handbook, there is a part on page 67 that says as far as compensatory time, the department head can give that out. It's to be understood that it's not an hourly type of a situation, but that department head can't give it out. And as I understand it, we're still operating under the old policy. To me, to have finance and admin come and tell a department head who constitutionally has operational authority over the office how his employees are supposed to act and how they're supposed to do their time card, to me, is wrong. Telling them how to do a time card is falsifying it because it doesn't show as to what's truthfully being done. It just shows what they want to see on their part of it. And not only that, but when you start taking exempt employees, salaried employees, and I checked this out, and it is true, you start taking employees that are salaried and working them as though they are hourly. It may not happen now, it may happen somewhere down the future. All they have to do is keep track of their time. And somewhere down the line, if they file a complaint with wage and hourly in Madison, this county could be paying out overtime, a lot of overtime, because somebody over across the street is believing that they have the ultimate authority over what happens. And that I feel is wrong, and I think some others have some comments to make also, but that's my feeling on it. And I think we're really hanging ourselves out on a limb if finance and admin believe that they can dictate entire policies.
I think actually, Sheriff, you summed it up quite well. You know, I think there has to be some give and take. We understand that salaried employees aren't always going to work, you know, some are 75 hours per pay period, some are 80. But when you have incidents going on where you're well over a 40-hour work week, maybe by Wednesday or Thursday already, and whether or not you planned on taking time off on Friday or whatever, but if you only work a couple hours or if you take the whole day off, you have to tap that all out of your PTO bank, and then your time card will read 88, 92 hours sometimes. And we understand you're only getting paid for 80 or 75. It just seems like, I don't know, some people want it both ways, and I don't think you can have it both ways. I think if you want to, I agree with the sheriff. I've warned the folks across the street that it seems to me that you're trying to make a salaried employee be an hourly employee.
And telling them how to
And not everything happens from 8 to 4 on a Monday through Friday in a 24/7 operation.
I know when I was with the city, there was a time.
I know today it's 5 o'clock. I know they started at 7 this morning. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, either they need to come up with some type of a comp bank or whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be hour for hour, but it seems like, and I think a lot of the angst, if you will, using one of Frank's old words, it is like with this new policy handbook. It is so un-employee friendly, it's terrible. It's almost, you could liken it to, probably not quite slavery, but close. Work as many hours as you want, but watch out if you try to take off 2 hours early someday, and you already got a whole piece of more hours in.
Which is what happened with this instance. Person had put in time on a mandatory training, well over the amount of hours that was supposed to be worked under the old policy, or still in effect because this new policy hasn't come in. Department head can grant it, and then I granted it, and then comes across from finance and admin. First finance didn't do it on finance's request, and came across from admin. I still haven't done it yet because I still feel, and I know I've got the constitutional authority on the operational part of this sheriff's office. And we're trying to make ends meet and do as much as we can by treating employees fairly. They do their hours and above hours, and to give them a little comp time just so that way they can, you know, that's not right. And I'm thinking somewhere along the line, those two divisions across the street are pushing their way too far into the meddling of things and micromanaging.
You kind of want to do away with like flex time and those types of things. Well, that's kind of a nice little perk to have when you don't have to pay the person that time and a half or so. Say, okay, tell you what, one of my lieutenants, an exempt employee, I need you to come in at noon and stay to 8 o'clock because I want some coverage on that second shift so you can get in touch with the sergeant on that shift or the supervisor and maybe do some training or just see what's going on. Okay. He gets to sleep in a little bit later that morning, but he's still doing his 8 hours. You know, or if somebody does 10 hours, cut out 2 hours early the next day if you want to. I doubt that you see very many exempt employees around here that haven't put in their 2080 or 1950 or whatever it is over the course of a year, depending on what their hourly, you know, how many hours they put in a pay period. I think what you're finding, and what you will find, is that those exempt employees are going to really start watching the clock considerably. I'm not saying I am or John is. I'm saying I think what you'll see a trend is, okay, if you're going to treat it that way, then sorry, I can't make that meeting at 4:30 because I already got my 7.5 hours in. See ya.
Or there's gonna come to be a time and point where they
Where they're going to,
and all of a sudden file with the
Right.
state, and this county's gonna be paying.
but I mean, you're going
big
to
time
see
overtime.
employees. I've already seen employees watching their hours a heck of a lot closer than they think because they aren't going to put in any. Whereas a couple of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I don't think if one of the employees, other than filling out their timesheet, probably really cared about their hours and were putting in a heck of a lot more time than they were before. It didn't come across. They didn't have to. They weren't forced to use these little things like if you don't work, like John says, the perfect example, and you have your 40 hours in, you say, okay, I'm going to take Friday off. But if you take the whole day off, you still have to take 8 hours or 7.5 hours out of your PTO bank to pay for it. Well, if I already got my 40 hours in, why do I have to donate my PTO time? Now, if there is a Fair Labor Standards Act rule or something like that that's out there that says this is the way you have to do it, nobody's shown it to us, and trust me, we've asked several dozen times over the last couple of years, well, who says that you have to do that? Well, that's what the county board said. I said, got it. That's what the county board, they make the rules. But who told them that that's the way to do it? You know, they just come up with it? Can they do it different? Maybe they can't do it different. But nobody's telling us that there's anything in stone other than somebody said you had to do it this way to convince us that you have to do it this way. But we are being held to that standard. I wasn't even sure that that's what this item was about, but I'm glad I stuck around. It's not like I haven't been in trouble before, and so I'll say my piece. But I think that's what you're going to see is people are watching their time a lot tighter. I don't know. I mean, you folks hired us, all these non-exempt employees and stuff. If you don't think that we're doing our time, putting in our time, then you have to, you know, that's one issue. But most of them are putting in a lot more than that. But I think you're going to see they're going to start scrutinizing their own time, and they're going to stay right on the edge. They're going to say, you want 1950 hours a year? That's what I'll give you. Not me, hell, I worked 2,000-3,000. Purchase rolls.
But I do know, I have heard some things, and this is something that has to go back to the handbook, and it has to go back to the transition committee, and we have to come up with a better program than we have right now. I don't know how many board members know this, but there is a hell of a lot more people that work for Shawnee County that are saying the same thing they are. It's not just this department. There's a number of departments that are involved, and I think that we as county board supervisors, we have to sit down and talk and listen, and we're not listening right now. And when I say we're not, I'm referring to the county board is not listening.
Well, I wasn't to the meeting, but I was told that at that meeting that was supposed to be for all department heads to air their views and their points, there's some pretty good points, just like what you said, Ken, brought out, but then when it came to the vote for the admin committee, it was a 3-2 vote. Now, what is that telling the employees that spilled their guts saying, what's wrong with this? In a committee that's an admin committee, turns around and basically slaps them in the face saying,
Right.
we don't care.
And that's what I heard happen at that meeting. I wasn't there neither, but it seemed like they had a lot of suggestions, and the people that should have been listening to those suggestions and voting the way what they were hearing, they did not do that.
I wish more people would start looking at what Tim's taping and seeing exactly what's going on. Don't have to listen to us, don't have to wait for Lee to print it out, go look at what he's taping, and it'll tell you right there.
Anything else? Can we move on then to air purifying system purchase request?
Yeah, I got the information on that.
Steve, you got a minute before you leave? If we're gonna- Can we just hold for just a second?
No.
Sure. You know, I'm a made-up guy. All right?
You got an advocate?
And yeah, I do, really. And I'm looking at your counts. You know, and I've asked you these same questions in the past. If I take male jail here, female jail here, male here, and male here, those numbers gotta equal that, is that correct?
Well, these two numbers equal there.
Yeah. And these two numbers here equal that.
Equal that.
But you add the two together and they come up with, they're short. So the first year at 86 and it's 87, on the 15th it's 75.
If you add in your inmates that are out at other locations and our inmate walkaways, you'll come up with a number.
Well, where are these people at?
They're in other locations, they're in other jails. But they're included into our counts because we're still responsible for them.
Thank you, sir. I'll look that over again.
Boy, that was a good answer.
They're not done.
Okay, let's go back.
That's where I came up with.
All right, that, what is it, air purifier?
Yes, sir.
As you know, we had some tests done in our evidence storage area, and there was, as suspected, some, you know, the air quality is poor, mold, etc. Steve Greer got involved, found a company that that makes a air purifying system. It's a standalone unit. It's out of Florida, and he gave them the specs on the cubic feet of the area. So they told him what model we would need. Their price is $4,000. They will deduct 10%, which is $400, making $3,600, and ship it for free. And it actually uses some type of light bulb. There's really not a filter or anything. The only thing that has to be replaced annually is the light bulbs. And they're $200.
400.
Yeah, because there's two of them, but they're $200 for one.
Okay.
Times 2 is 4. So there would be that, and they're showing in here electricity roughly $1 a day is what they're saying, depending upon the region. So I think we have to do something. This looks like I don't. Did you get the whole packet of information on this? Or you got that?
Yeah, we got the whole.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's kind of the. I probably have a little bit more information too that they had, but so it's going to cost us $3,600 for. You know, I don't know how long it'll take to ship or get here, but I think I'd recommend that we try and move forward with it. I don't know where we're going to pay for it. Undesignated fund balance would be my first suggestion. That'll probably be met with lots of resistance on the.
Can we take it out to 1%?
You can, pretty quick, it should be a negative 1% though, but I guess when it's gone, it's
Got to
gone.
deal with.
Yeah. Can we take that on undesignated fund balance?
Not
Can we take
answering.
that out of the highway?
I'm not answering that.
Can we take that out of the highway department operating expenses?
No.
That's where it's located. That's the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
Right now, for any of the employees to enter in there, they have to be dressed in hazmat type gear in order to go in there.
And we have, yeah, exactly right, Sheriff, and they have, for a long time now, and the filtering that we're using for face masks and stuff is very good. I mean, it meets the, I actually met with Mr. Mattson and the public health nurse a few weeks back already, and along with the company that actually did the air quality study in there and such, and it's all, they're very happy with what we are doing for all personal protective equipment.
I'll entertain a motion to,
How long do you plan on using this space that this thing is for?
I don't know, Bert and I have been working furiously to get a building up and together, but until that happens, I don't know.
I think with the weight.
As soon as you get a new building or something.
Yeah, then you.
but this may be needed in there.
Well, it probably won't hurt. I mean, it probably be something that could be used there. Or, I can't imagine anybody else.
I'll entertain a motion that we cover the cost of $3,600 out of the 1% carryover from the sheriff's department's budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Is there questions?
Any questions, sir, if you'd like?
I'd like to know what is in the 1% before I take it down to nothing.
She'll look it up for sure. It's in the 70s, I think. 70,000.
No.
I was
Shouldn't
thinking
have
roughly
hurt
70.
that badly.
I was thinking roughly 75 for that one.
About 2 dozen cars.
And this is a big enough, machine, I don't know what you call it, to cover the area that.
Yeah.
It's designed for coverage of up to 25,000 cubic feet.
Right, but I don't know how big is our space.
It ain't that big.
Not that.
No, Steve gave them the
basically,
information. I think someplace in here they say, given the.
Based on Mr. Dreyer's description of the environment in which the aeroside
Yes.
will be placed in, 1 GCS 50 should provide adequate coverage.
Correct.
So,
25,000 cubic feet it's designed to cover.
Yeah, because we had square feet, but then they had to take the height into consideration. So
And that isn't a very airtight building, is it?
no, I would say no.
I'm not encouraging anything here. Shut up.
Well, that's probably part of the problem, Ken, is it's not airtight and it's not watertight. And that's what causes that mold, is the moisture and the wet. Now, it's my understanding this same mold is inside every silo in the world.
Probably.
It's what I was told when I called these people. I asked them, the same mold that's in the silos with all these farmers and their corn? He said, yeah.
That's why maybe they got farmer's loan.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? We're still
We definitely need it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
The people that have to go in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's not to say that when you put that in there, they're still not gonna wear that gear, are they?
No.
So you haven't cut any expenses down. They're still wearing all the hazmat stuff.
Well, there's
Along
just a
with-
massive. Well, I mean, you're always going to, those pretty much, I think, without saying, I mean, as far as gloves go and stuff, and I think
It's
There's
creating
still
a
one-
much, it's creating a much safer area, is what it's doing.
But it's not gonna cut back on any expenses with the mask or anything else. They're still gonna wear the mask.
I don't, the masks we have, I mean, you have replacement filters, they're not terribly expensive. And I would certainly recommend to still wear that mask. Right now, until we get something in there, we're wearing, I had sent the directive out, it's a disposable paper coverall is what it really is.
That's a Tyvek, white Tyvek stuff.
Is there any way to check after you put this machine in,
You'd probably send them,
if it came down, or?
Well,
you know,
you'd have to actually do, you have to pay for another test, you have to do an air quality test. I mean, you're still gonna have, the airborne stuff, the stuff that gets, when you open the doors. I mean, if you have mold in the corner, this isn't gonna eliminate it, it's gonna kill all the stuff that's airborne, is the way I understand it, from talking to Steve.
Does not clear up the problem. It just
The only way
moves
to,
it out of the air that's floating around.
I believe that's an accurate statement. Yep. Yep, to take care of the problem, you'd have to have what we're proposing with a proper drying area and stuff prior to storage, then you would,
Okay, John, we have a motion and a second.
Anything that says you can return it if it's not, you don't like it, or?
30 days satisfaction guaranteed.
30 days? That's right. There it
Thought I
is.
saw that.
Yeah, and it's got a 3 or 4 year warranty on it.
5-year warranty on parts.
Don't give you much time to try it out, though, 30 days.
no, but if it lasts for 5 years, we'll have a building put up by then, I think. Bert?
I thought we'd have something rolling this fall. I'm not answering any questions on it. People ask me about the evidence storage.
I'm not the one
Say,
throwing.
don't talk to me, talk to the guys who voted no on doing the ground.
I didn't throw it anything.
I call for vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I guess I have to ask, why did we have to vote on this when you guys spend all this other money and we don't get a vote on it?
Because we don't have this in our budget. So when we want to spend another 1%, we need your blessing.
So you don't have this out of your capital?
Well, I didn't want it, no.
It's the easiest way to do it. Done. So yeah, try working with it.
And you're right, Bert, because if we would have wanted to go on an undesignated fund, then we would have had to deal with another committee, and then
Right.
it would have slowed this down until next July, probably.
Right.
Okay, we have resolutions then for Ho-Chunk and the Stockbridge monthly tribal law enforcement agreement.
these are the resolutions that come about this time of year all the time. They're the funding for what they're gonna pay and help, pay for patrol and deputies up in their areas and so forth. And pretty much it in a nutshell, I guess. I think you all have copies of the resolution and that, so.
Basically the same thing we vote on every year. and
Yeah.
There's no reason to vote against it because it's federally granted money that we get and we give back to them.
I went through tribal affairs a week ago or so, I guess.
Yeah. I make a motion to accept the resolutions for the whole chunk and the Stockbridge monthly.
There's no significant changes from,
No.
Not even one word.
Same wording, everything.
What all it changes is, if anything changes, it's dollar amounts, and it's basically pass through, you only spend what you get, and, the date.
okay, I'll second it.
Okay, motion been made and second to accept the resolutions.
Are we doing both of the resolutions?
Both of them at one time.
That's what I meant, I'm just asking.
He's gonna pass them both. Any discussion? Any other discussion?
On the one, it says if they should go on their own, I think that's the Stockbridge Muncie.
Careful now what you read.
Muncie.
Stockbridge,
Are
Muncie.
you reading it from, there's two things out here, Mark.
That's true.
No.
But here it
This is
says,
the resolution.
that's correct.
Yeah.
I understand it, but there it says if they go on their own, but.
That's an agreement.
That was the agreement we had last year with them.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's a
They
whole-
still haven't gone on their own.
My question is Ho Chunk on their own, so that they're both the same? All right, I didn't have it.
Ho Chunk has, I believe, just the chief of police.
Okay.
Right.
That covers all the Ho Chunk Nation, which is quite a territory to cover.
The whole chunk mark is, they give us some grant money in order to go, for us to patrol
Okay.
the whole chunk portion of the county. Stockbridge already has
Which
their-
is a very
their own-
small
Very small.
little corner. You gotta vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Say this. And this.
This stuff here is not the resolution. This is not the resolution. No. This is like only signed by, if you read this sentence, it's only signed by them. That ain't us. That's all information for us. That's why I say that this stuff don't, wasn't had nothing
That's
to do with
just an
that.
informational packet is what it is.
Okay, I need a motion, I guess, then to go into closed session.
You should sign that first.
Okay, well, it's coming.
You didn't bring a pen?
No. It fell out of my thing here.
Get my truck blocked right now.
Well, I'm hurting.
I gotta get that done today. Yeah, I'm not starting before. That one.
We don't have a yes or no on this one, do we? So we voted all 5 yes, right?
Put a zero there.
No, they did, they're not perfect either.
Kathy probably did that. Okay.
It's all Kathy's fault.
Is there an issue here? that
You
we
don't.
have to go closed session? That you don't? Okay.
No, there was no yes and no.
I didn't make that.
No, I didn't. But on this other one, there isn't. On this one, you can see it.
Huh.
Okay, do we need to go into closed session? I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, all in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike, yes?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so